Okay, so today we're going to do a deep dive into just one chapter.
Just one chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's packed. I mean, this single chapter is really giving us so much insight into family dynamics and like the undercurrents of all these tensions in this small town where obviously something awful has happened, and then you've got the narrator's internal struggles.
Right. And what really pulls you in right away in this chapter is that it drops you right into this, like, the aftermath of something.
Yeah.
We come into the scene and the narrator, Camille, is watching her mother, Adora, in the garden.
Right.
The morning after, what you can only assume was a really tough encounter.
Yeah, and she's out there with the nurse Gala and all these roses, and they're even called out as being imperfect roses.
Right.
But the way that Adora is interacting with these roses, she's like stalking through with these pliers and scrutinizing every single bloom and like snipping off petals. It feels so much more than gardening.
It's almost like she's doing an inspection or something. Like,
Oh.
she's weeding out flaws. And it makes you wonder, like, does she look at people in her life this way too?
Totally. And it's like when she says to Gala, you need to water these more. Look what you've done to them. It's so much about her being demanding and just finding fault.
Right. Like needing to be critical.
And what I thought was really interesting is even Camille is like, in her head, she's thinking like, the roses look fine.
Yeah.
It's not about the roses. It's about her.
It's about Adora needing to find something wrong.
Yeah.
Needing to, like, exert some control.
Yeah, totally. And then she says this thing about wanting to take Camille shopping.
Yeah, to Woodbury.
The Woodbury. Yeah. And it's like, oh, we can catch up. But she's so clearly avoiding whatever happened the previous day,
Yeah.
It feels so performative.
It's very surface level, right? Like, just
Yeah.
trying to,
Keep everything.
yeah, just brush it under the rug.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like that's sort of like their communication style.
Avoiding confrontation at all costs.
Yeah, exactly. And then even in just that little invitation, she says like, oh, we can catch up. And then Camille says, oh, can I take some of these roses from my room? And Adora's like, no.
They're not good blooms.
Right. And it's like, but you were just telling Gala to throw them away.
Right, exactly.
And then when Camille's like, oh, but can I just take a couple? And she's like, ow.
A thorn.
Yeah.
I'm bleeding.
Yeah, I'm bleeding. And it's like this tiny little prick. It's not even a big deal.
Yeah.
And she uses that to shut down the whole conversation.
It's a very subtle, like, power move.
It is.
But it's so effective.
It is.
Like, her authority is maintained in that little moment.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And then even just getting in the car to go on this shopping trip,
Oh, yeah.
She's like, we'll take the convertible, but put the top up.
Yes.
And then she gives Amma this look.
Like a knowing look. Like they're in on something together.
Right. And Amma's mostly quiet, but she keeps looking at Camille in the rearview mirror.
Giving her these looks.
Yeah, it's not just like a glance. It's like,
It's low.
yeah, it feels very,
Smug, almost.
yes.
Like there's some kind of, like, power play happening.
Yeah, some tension that we don't know about yet.
Yeah, exactly.
And then she says to Camille, open the car door.
Yeah.
It's like her first words to her in a while.
Right. And it doesn't seem like this catching up is going to be, like, a fun...
No, it does not seem like a lighthearted catching.
Yeah, not at all.
So then they get to the boutique.
They go to this boutique in Woodbury.
Right. And it just feels like this whole shopping trip is just another place for these weird power dynamics to play out. And you really see more of Adora's character,
Oh, yeah.
like the way she presents her injured hand to the saleswoman at the boutique.
Oh, yeah. She's really milking this little thorn prick.
She is. It's a very minor thing. And she's like, oh, my gosh,
Look at my hand.
Yeah. And you get the feeling that she kind of likes the attention.
Oh, yeah. Totally. Like, she needs to be the center of attention, even for something so small.
And I love how the saleswoman even gasps. It's like she's done this before.
It's like a well-rehearsed performance.
Yeah, totally. But then this is where it gets really interesting because
Okay.
the saleswoman says something like, oh, and this is your daughter. And Adora's like, oh, this is my third daughter.
Her third daughter.
Right. And it's like she almost whispers it. And then she immediately says something about how Camille looks like her father
Mm-hmm.
and Amma looks like Adora and like the absent Marion.
Right.
And it's like Camille is immediately set apart as this one who doesn't fit.
The odd one out,
Yeah.
even within her own family.
Yeah. And this is like one of the rare moments where Adora actually talks about Camille's father.
Yeah.
She mentions his coloring and cheekbones,
Yeah.
and even like his temperament. And it's like the most Camille has ever heard her say about him.
Yeah.
And you can sense Camille's like desperate need for this information about this like missing piece of herself.
Right, like she's yearning to know more about him.
But just as quickly,
Mm-hmm.
shifts back into Adora trying to control Camille's appearance.
Oh, yeah, she insists on this colorful dress.
When Camille clearly wants blacks and grays.
And a size 4?
Yeah. It's like she's trying to like mold Camille into this image that's not her.
Totally. It's like she wants to remake her.
In her own image, or at least an image that she finds acceptable.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have this little interaction where Amma says something about this gold top. And she's like, oh, Mom, you should get that. It's so pretty.
And Adora's like, no, that's tacky.
Yeah, like so dismissive.
It's another one of those moments where you see how like rigid and kind of cold Adora is.
Yeah, and how she's just not warm to Amma, even when she's trying to connect.
Right, even when Amma's being genuine.
And then you have Camille trying to connect with Adora directly. Like she asks if she really reminds her of her father.
And Adora like deflects immediately.
Yeah, she says something like, oh no, your personality is nothing like mine or Alan, so it must be from him.
Yeah, like shifting the blame to someone who's not even there.
Right. And it's like the minute Camille tries to go any deeper,
She brings up the bleeding again.
she does. She's like, oh, Camille, you're making me bleed more.
Like a classic manipulation tactic. It's a total shutdown.
Totally shuts down the conversation.
So then they go to the dressing room.
This is where it gets tough.
It's like torture for Camille.
All these dresses, they're like strapless spaghetti straps.
They're so revered.
Designed to make her uncomfortable.
And to show her scars?
Right, and the author even starts using these words like wine, milk, hurt, bleed, belittle.
Oh, wow. I didn't even pick up on that.
It's like all these words are almost like etched onto Camille's skin.
It's like foreshadowing almost.
Yeah, and it just adds to this feeling of like Camille being punished.
Totally. Like Adora knows that she likes to cover up.
Yeah.
And she's making her be completely exposed.
Making her vulnerable.
And then Amma's like, oh, can I try on a dress? And it's almost like Adora uses that.
To further control Camille.
Right? Like she ignores why Camille's uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like this added layer of messed up.
Yeah, using Amma as a pawn almost.
And then, of course, the big moment, she's forced to open the door and Adora's like, oh my God.
Hey, look what you've done to yourself.
And it's just so shaming.
Yeah.
It's not motherly concern. It's disgust.
It's pure judgment.
It's awful.
Yeah, it's like a public display of Camille's private pain.
And then what's even more disturbing is the saleswoman picks up on this and she's like, oh, I have this long-sleeved blouse and a long skirt.
Yeah.
And it's like they're covering her up.
It's forced concealment.
Yeah.
Not because they care about her comfort, but because they can't deal with seeing her scars.
Right. And when they get home, Camille's first thought is to go look at the knives.
The knives that she used to use to cut herself.
Right. And the fact that the drawer is locked,
It says a lot.
It does. It's like Adora knows.
She knows what Camille's doing, but she's not helping.
There's no support.
It's just control.
Right. And then just as she's like dealing with all of this, the doorbell rings.
And it's Meredith Wheeler and John Keene.
Right. And it's like this huge shift.
Yeah, Meredith comes in like a whirlwind.
She does. It's like strong perfume.
All these exclamations.
Yeah, and John's just like quiet in the background.
Very reserved.
Yeah, and you immediately get this feeling of like a contrast between them.
Right, and Meredith's whole thing about like, oh, I used to be a cheerleader and I'm your cousin's cousin, it just feels so...
Superficial.
So superficial.
Like she's trying too hard.
Yeah, trying to force this connection.
But Camille is way more interested in talking to John.
Yeah, about his sister Natalie.
Right. She brings up how his mom doesn't want to talk to the press.
Right.
And you can tell she's like looking for something more personal.
I think she's trying to understand the tragedy on a deeper level.
Yeah.
Beyond just the headlines,
Like a human connection.
Exactly.
But Meredith keeps like jumping in.
Trying to manage the conversation.
Yeah, especially when it comes to like John and how his family feels about the media.
She's very controlling.
She is. But when Camille finally gets to talk to John directly about Natalie, he describes her as nice.
Nice and really smart.
Yeah. But he said she had a discipline problem at school.
But he thinks it was from boredom.
Yeah, like she was too smart.
Too advanced for her age. Right. And it's like you don't expect that.
It kind of challenges your expectations of what you think you know about a victim.
Right. And then he tells that story about Natalie inventing this Russian language.
Yeah, and trying to teach it to him.
It's like this really sweet detail.
It shows how creative and imaginative she was.
It makes her seem so real.
Yeah, it humanizes her.
And then he says she was actually friends with Amma for a little while.
Yeah, briefly.
And that she used to play with this younger boy.
James Capisi.
Yeah. And he was supposedly the last person to see her.
Right.
But then Meredith's like, oh, he's a liar. He just wants attention.
It's so interesting how quickly rumors and these like different versions of the story start to spread in a small town.
Right.
Like, who do you believe?
And then there's this really weird moment where Camille asks John about his alibi.
Yeah, for the nights of the murder.
And he's like, oh, I was just driving around.
Yeah, very vague.
And then Meredith jumps in and says he was with me.
Way too quickly.
Yeah. And you can tell John's uncomfortable. It's like she's trying to cover for him.
Yeah, but why?
It just creates this sense of suspicion.
It does.
Like something's not right.
And then Camille brings up the incident in Philadelphia.
With the classmate.
Yeah. And you can tell John is, like, instantly upset.
Yeah, he doesn't want to talk about it.
And he confirms that the local paper really made Natalie look bad.
Yeah.
And then he finally tells the story about what happened in art class.
It's a pretty disturbing story.
It is.
Natalie was 9, and she hurt another girl with scissors.
Really badly.
Bad enough that the girl lost an eye.
Oh, my gosh.
And the other eye was damaged, too.
Was it intentional?
John insists it was an accident.
Okay.
He said the other girl was always bossing Natalie around.
Okay.
And that Natalie had a temper.
So it was like a moment of anger?
Yeah, it seems like it.
And obviously it had, like, huge consequences.
Oh, yeah. Natalie had to go to therapy for a year.
Wow.
And she had nightmares.
I mean, moved.
They moved to Wind Gap in the middle of the night.
Could get away from it all.
Yeah, his dad took the first job he could find.
And he even says he wishes they never moved.
He blames Wind Gap for Natalie's death.
Wow, so then the scene shifts completely.
Yeah, Camille gets a call from her old friend Katie Lacey,
Right.
inviting her to this pity party.
At Angie Papermaker's house.
Yeah, it's like this gathering of the women in town.
In the new rich part of town.
Lots of wine and sad movies and gossip.
Yeah. What do you think this says about this town?
I think it shows how much importance they place on appearances.
Yeah.
And how they kind of bond over their problems, even if those problems are pretty superficial.
Yeah. But Camille decides to go.
Even though she's not really into that scene.
Yeah, I think she's hoping to get some information about the town and the victims.
Yeah, like it's a way to gather intel.
In a less formal setting.
Exactly.
And you immediately get a sense of, like, who these women are. You know, Katie shows up in her big SUV.
Talking about her successful husband.
Yeah, and there's Angie, the hostess.
Yeah.
And Tish, who's like the little mommy.
And Mimi, who's still the pretty one.
And Becca Hart, who married rich, but is still kind of an outsider.
It's like they're all still defined by their high school roles.
Totally.
Even though they're adults now.
Yeah, and their conversations are all about, like, husbands and kids and social events.
And who's doing better than who.
Oh, yeah, tons of judgment.
And Becca's, like, totally left out.
Yeah, they're still mean girls.
It's like high school never ended.
And then they watch this sad movie.
And they all start crying.
But then they talk about their own problems.
Their own pity party.
Yeah, and it's like they're all competing for who has it worse.
Even though they seem to have pretty good lives.
Yeah, so fake.
But then there's this interesting moment where Camille and Becca connect.
In the kitchen.
Yeah, away from everyone else.
And Becca admits she's not happy, even though she's rich.
It's like a moment of honesty.
Yeah.
And they kind of bond over their cynicism about their old classmates.
Yeah, they both see through the bullshit.
But then, of course, the conversation turns to the murders.
Yeah, as soon as the wine kicks in.
Everyone's like, oh my God, it's so scary.
But then they start speculating about what happened.
About who might have hurt the girls.
And they keep bringing up the teeth.
That detail is really disturbing to them.
It is. It's like the thing that everyone's fixated on.
Yeah. And then Mimi mentions Natalie getting cornered and having her hair cut.
And Angie says that Anne was forced to show herself to boys.
And Katie says that they always picked on Natalie and Anne.
For being different.
Yeah, like they were outsiders.
And then Becca asks, who's they?
And Katie turns to Camille.
And says, is that who you think it is?
Like implying that it was Amma.
Emil's own sister.
Yeah, and she's like, you know how awful she is.
And Camille's like, I don't know. I just know girls can be miserable.
Trying to stay neutral.
But the other women, like, flip out.
They think she's defending Amma.
And they're like, how can you not be more upset?
And they even bring up how she doesn't have kids.
Like, that's the reason she doesn't understand.
It's like they're using her childlessness against her.
And then it turns into this whole thing about women and motherhood.
Katie's like, you're not a real woman until you have kids.
And she's quoting the Bible and science.
It's so regressive.
It is. And Becca just mutters girl power under her breath.
It's like her little rebellion against all that traditional crap.
So Camille goes home and she's just like a mess.
Yeah, she's so sulky.
And she wants to drink more.
But she's trying to resist.
But her mind goes to cutting.
Yeah, she has this image of slicing Baron into her skin.
It's like she feels empty.
Yeah, like she has no purpose.
But then she has this moment of empathy for the victims' families.
She pictures them grieving.
And then she starts thinking about Amma.
And imagining her hurting the other girls.
Yeah, laughing while she cuts Natalie's hair.
It's like she's connecting Amma to the cruelty she just witnessed.
It's terrifying.
And then all these memories come flooding back.
About her mom's grief over Marion
And that image of her biting baby Marion,
is like too much.
that's all connected.
And she just starts crying.
She completely breaks down.
And then Amma comes in.
Late at night,
Yeah.
and she sees that Camille's been crying.
And she asks, was it because of her?
It's kind of vague.
It is like, is she talking about Adora or just everything?
Mm.
And Camille just says,
Yeah, the tiny connection.
and then Amma tries to see her scars.
She admits she didn't know Camille hurt herself.
And Camille says, not anymore.
It's hopeful, but also sad.
Yeah, and then Amma says she feels like something bad is going to happen.
Like she can't stop it.
And she asks Camille if she ever feels that way.
But she's not talking about anxiety?
Yeah, it's something deeper.
Like sense of doom.
And then she gives Camille a joint.
As a present.
Yeah, she's like, it's better than vodka,
It's a weird moment.
but also kind of sweet.
Like she's trying to take care of her.
In her own way.
And then she asks to see Camille's cuts again.
But she accepts it when Camille says no.
And she says she was trying to be nice.
It's like there's this flicker of kindness.
Yeah. Under all the darkness.
And Camille's just like, thank you.
Like she can't believe it.
And Amma says it's easier to be nice when everyone's asleep.
When everything's quiet.
It's a really poignant moment.
Like they're connecting in secret.
Yeah.
So we've gone through a lot in this deep dive.
We have.
We've seen this town struggling with tragedy.
And a family with so much tension.
And Camille's own internal battle.
Yeah.
You've seen how control plays out in different ways.
Right, like with Adora and with the town's social dynamics.
And the impact of living in a small town.
Yeah.
And how complicated female relationships can be.
And how past trauma can shape the present.
And we've seen different perspectives on the victims.
Yeah. And all the rumors flying around.
And the hidden roles that people might be playing.
So think about this. What does this glimpse into Wind Gap tell you about the nature of truth and memory?
Especially in a place like this where everyone knows everyone.
Yeah. And how do Camille's personal struggles connect with the anxieties of the whole town?
It's a lot to think about.
It is.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, see you next time.